Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our webinar today on tax time updates. Happy New Year to everyone, and we appreciate that you have joined us for today's webinar. My name is Michael Rausch, and I'm the Director of the Real Economic Impact Network here at the National Disability Institute. I would like to give a special thank you to our sponsor, Bank of America, who's been a longtime supporter of the Real Economic Impact Network, as well as the National Disability Institute, to help build a better financial future for individuals with disabilities and their families. Before we get started, I would like to go over some housekeeping tips, and to do that, my colleague, Nakia Matthews, will go over this information with us. Nakia?
Thank you, Michael, and good afternoon, everyone. The audio for today's webinar is being broadcast through your computer. Please make sure that your speakers are turned on or that you have your headphones plugged in. You can control the audio broadcast via the audio broadcast panel. If you accidentally close this panel, you can reopen it by going to the Communicate menu at the top of your screen and choosing Audio Broadcast. If you do not have sound capabilities on your computer, or if you prefer to listen by phone, you can dial the toll or toll-free number you see here and enter the meeting code. Please note that you do not need to enter an attendee ID. I will also paste this number into the chat box for those who may not be able to hear us right now. Real-time captioning is provided during this webinar. The captions can be found in the Media Viewer panel, which appears in the lower right-hand corner of the webinar platform. If you do not see these captions, you may need to open the Media Viewer panel by selecting the Media Viewer button in the upper right-hand corner of the webinar platform. If you would like to make this Media Viewer panel larger so that you can see more of the captions, you can minimize some of the other panels like Q&A, chat, or participants. If you do not want the captions, you can also go ahead and collapse that Media Viewer panel. We will have time for questions at the end of the webinar. Please use the chat box or the Q&A box to send any questions that you may have during the course of the webinar to either Michael Rausch or me, the NDI admin, and we will direct those questions to our speakers during the Q&A portion. If you are listening by phone only and not logged into the web portion, you may email your questions to Michael directly at mroush@ndi-inc.org. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and that the materials will be placed on the NDI website. Finally, if you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please use the chat box to send a message to me, NDI admin, or you may email me directly at nmatthews@ndi-inc.org. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Michael.
Great. Thank you, Nakia. And thank you again to each of you for joining us today for this webinar on tax time updates. For those of you who are new to the National Disability Institute, I would like to share with you information on our organization. The National Disability Institute is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to building a better economic future for Americans with disabilities. We are the first national organization committed exclusively to championing economic empowerment, asset development, and financial stability for all persons across the full spectrum of disabilities. National Disability Institute affects change through public education, training, technical assistance, and policy development to help the 1 in 3 Americans with disabilities living in poverty take steps towards a brighter financial future. To learn more about the National Disability Institute, please go to www.realeconomicimpact.org. If you're not already a part of National Disability Institute's Real Economic Impact Network, we hope that you will join us. The Real Economic Impact Network is an alliance of organizations and individuals dedicated to advancing the economic empowerment of people with disabilities. It consists of more than 4,500 members located throughout the country, and it's brought together and includes a diverse group of members that include nonprofits, community tax coalition, asset development organizations, corporations and private sector businesses, federal, state, local governments, agencies, as well as individuals and their families with disabilities. All partners are joining forces to embrace, promote, and pursue access to and the inclusion of people with disabilities in the economic mainstream. Please go to our website, and on the front of right when you click on it, you're going to see Join the Real Economic Impact Network, and we hope that you will join the network. It is free to join. So today's webinar is on tax tips, one of my favorite times of the year during tax time, and having that opportunity for us to be able to help individuals file their tax return, hopefully free of charge, using one of the free tax sites or services that are available, but also having the opportunity to potentially access various tax credits that help individuals move out of poverty. Today's webinar, we are going to talk about the new tax law that requires the Internal Revenue Service to hold refunds a few weeks for some early filers who claim the Earned Income Tax Credit as well as the Additional Child Tax Credit. We're going to talk about tools and resources to assist with educating tax filers on the delay in refunds and tips on how to connect with your local Free Tax Preparation Coalition if you're not already connected with them. We also will talk about the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, Get It Back campaign, and other resources that are available to increase or enhance your outreach efforts as we come up on tax time. We also will share a best practice of tax coalition out of Albany, New York as well. Then we will definitely have time for questions and answers after the presentations. So we're excited today that we have our good friend Don Dill, who's a senior tax analyst with the Stakeholder Partnerships Education and Communication, or SPEC, at the Internal Revenue Service. And Don is going to share with us some updates, things that we need to know for the upcoming filing season. With that, Don, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great, Michael. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you so much for the opportunity to join everybody this afternoon. To all those participating, Happy New Year. And as Michael said, we're just literally days away from the start of yet another filing season. So we thank you for your time today to gather this, hopefully good information, and hopefully that you can get out there and help work with those you serve to get their tax returns filed, as Michael said, get the refunds they have earned, and to use them to move ahead economically in their lives. So thank you again to NDI for this opportunity, and I look forward to our discussion. So I want to start, as Michael led off in the introduction, and talk to you about some important dates as we get ready for the filing season to begin. From a filing standpoint, next or 2 Mondays, not next Monday, but the Monday after, January 23rd, will be the first day that e-file returns are accepted by the IRS, what we traditionally consider the start of the filing season. And so that will be a key day. And then on that first Friday of the filing season, January 27th, is an event that we have now been holding for several years, called the National EITC Awareness Day. And that's simply a day that all organizations that are involved in my part of the world, the free tax preparation arena, VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, as well as the Tax Counseling for Elderly Program, and other organizations like many of you on the phone that are involved in this process, get together and make people aware of the EITC, the Earned Income Tax Credit. For those of you who are not, it's a credit available to taxpayers and those single and those with families, generally under about $50,000 of income. It's a credit that's often overlooked, and sometimes some reports up to 1 in 5 people fail to claim the credit they're entitled to. So we want to take that opportunity around the country, both nationally and locally, to make folks aware of that. So if you haven't been aware of that opportunity, I know Jenny will talk about it later, please look around your community to those involved in either VITA or TCE and see if you can get engaged with them and help share the word about the Earned Income Tax Credit. And then on Wednesday, February 15th, as Michael said, I'm going to talk more about it in one of my next slides about the refund delay that's going to be faced by some taxpayers this year that file returns that have refunds that include the Earned Income Tax Credit or the Advanced Child Tax Credit. They are going to be delayed by law this year, so I'll talk more about that. And then last but not least, for those of you who are used to April 15th being the end of the tax filing season, depends on your thought process, but this year you get a little bonus time. The last day of the filing season this year will be Tuesday, April 18th, because April 15th falls on the weekend, and then April 17th, Monday, is actually a holiday in Washington, D.C. for Emancipation Day, which thus allows everybody an additional day. So for those of you who might be looking forward to the end of filing season, it will be Tuesday, April 18th this year. So let me move forward and talk to you about something that I hope you will take note of during this conversation and find more information if you are serving individuals who may be impacted by this refund delay. As I mentioned on the onset, that this is a new requirement that was within the latest tax law that was passed in December of 2015, the PATH Act as it is known. And it requires the IRS to hold refunds claiming either the Earned Income Tax Credit and or the Advanced Child Tax Credit till at least February 15th. And the reason for this hold by Congress or authorized and enacted by Congress is to provide the IRS with additional time to help prevent revenue loss due to identity theft and other refund fraud schemes by individuals who fabricate wages and withholding. Part of that process is that the PATH Act also requires that employers who historically were providing W-2s and Form 1099 miscellaneous to the IRS by February 28th are now required to submit those to the IRS by January 31st. So with that additional time, the IRS will be able to do a few additional checks and hopefully will mitigate any loss of tax money that impacts all of us, quite frankly, that is lost due to either identity theft or refund fraud. But at the same time, I think the most important message for those of us on the phone today serving individuals in need of tax assistance, that many, as I'm sure you are well aware, many individuals count on receiving their refund very quickly. The IRS, if I can applaud ourselves, has done a great job in getting refunds out in a much more expedited process over the last few years. So people were often counting on receiving their IRS refund by, say, the end of January if they filed on that first day of January 23rd. But this year that will not be. And so that certainly could cause a hardship for those who are counting on money to pay rents or to pay back utility bills. So what we need and what I'm asking you to do is to be a conduit of information to your clients, to let them know so that they can start planning ahead if they were counting on a refund, say, by the end of January to help them with current bills. Now, as I move to the next slide, I want to just give you a couple important reminders about this refund delay for those taxpayers impacted. Now, remember, it's not all taxpayers. It's only taxpayers that part of their refund is due to the fact they have earned the earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit. But those with those situations, their entire refund will be held, meaning there's no partial release of refund that's not associated with the earned income tax credit or the advanced child tax credit. So, for an example, if a taxpayer was receiving a $2,000 refund, $500 of it was due to the earned income tax credit, the entire $2,000 will be withheld. They will not just withhold the $500. So again, that's a major impact on those that are waiting on that refund. Now, the most important message we'd like for you to share with your clients and those you serve is that we at the IRS are asking them to file normally as they would in any other filing season. If they are used to coming to one of our free sites, and as Michael mentioned, we hope you will steer your folks to them, and I'll give you some information at the end of my presentation how to find one of those sites. If they normally go to one of those at the end of January, we want them to go to that at the same day and time, not to wait until somewhere closer to February 15th, because then they will, quite frankly, be in the queue of returns waiting to get their refunds, and so their refund could be longer back than February 15th. The IRS will be accepting and processing returns starting January 23rd with returns that have this EITC and ACTC. So again, we ask taxpayers to follow their normal process. Now, this refund delay will impact all returns filed by taxpayers with the earned income tax credit and the additional child tax credit. No pay preparer, regardless of whatever programming or marketing or flyers they may put out, can get around this refund delay. So we ask you on behalf of your clients to be watching for marketing material in your community that might suggest otherwise. They may be getting around that by offering refund anticipation products, which many of you know that those can often have a dire impact on those that utilize those. So again, this is a refund delay hitting all preparers, paid preparers, self-prepared, and those prepared at our VITA and TCE sites. Now, the IRS has created some campaign materials for those of you who want to get involved in letting individuals you serve know about this delay. And the website we have set up is irs.gov/getready. And this site provides information there in various forms that hopefully you can just take and cut and paste, whether they be news releases, tax tips, and I know this is probably surprising you, the IRS even has some social media tools out there, including pre-completed tweets that you could use to let people know. And finally, there's presentation and outreach materials. So for those of you who are first hearing about this today and know this will impact those you serve, please, when you get a chance, take a look at that website for more information. Now, I also want to let you know, as Jenny will do later in this presentation, we have a lot of great partners in addition to NDI and the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities that are working to provide additional resources for you to help inform and educate taxpayers. So you'll see them there on the screen, our friends at the National Consumer League, at the Taxpayer Opportunity Network, and the Consumer Financial Protection Board, just to name a few. So again, please, if you can help get the information out, we would greatly appreciate your help in getting that information out. I want to move to another major part of the PATH Act that I hope most of you are aware of by now, but the PATH Act, again, implemented by Congress in December of 2015, implemented a number of significant changes to the Individual Taxpayer Identification Number Program, or ITINs, that are used by individuals who do not have Social Security numbers for their tax filing and payment obligations. So many millions of individuals are using ITINs, and they are going to be impacted. So as of this past January 1st, many ITINs will have expired and will be needed to be renewed in order for individuals to use them to either file a tax return or make payments using them starting, as I said, January 1st. So the two main buckets of those ITINs that are expiring are the ones that have not been used by the individual to file a tax return at least once in the past 3 filing seasons. And then we are also going to, in a systematic process, expire, if you will, some ITINs that were issued before 2012, older ones. And the first batch that we are going to ask for renewals are those who have a middle digit of 78 or 79, as you can see there in the schema in the middle of their ITIN number. Over the next few years, we will roll out additional numbers and within that middle digits that will expire. You'll see more information on that at irs.gov as that's released. Now, what does this mean that their ITINs will expire? It basically means in order for them to use that in this upcoming tax filing season, they need to go through the ITIN renewal process, which is basically the submission of a Form W-7, which is titled Application for IRS Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. And for those of you who are helped individuals with ITINs, that's the same form they would have filed to get the ITIN in the first place. So there is an updated version there, as you see on the screen, dated September 2016. Make sure they use that form, not any of the earlier versions. There's a box on there that says renewing an existing ITIN that they would need to check. And then they would need to include with these, with the W-7, either original supporting documentation or certified copies. And you'll see some more stringent requirements on that, so they will need to work with individuals to get those done on a timely basis. Now, the failure to renew an ITIN prior to the filing of a tax return this year will most likely result in a refund delay, and due to potential timing, could result in the loss of eligibility of some of the benefits that individuals are entitled to. So it is critical that if you are working with individuals that use ITINs in their normal tax filing requirement process, that you get this word out to them, and quite frankly, if they could get working on the ITIN renewal process even before they start thinking about getting a return prepared, that would be advantageous. So I wanted to provide you some more information. There are additional resources that individuals can use to help them with this renewal process. For many, it is a daunting process. There is the website I mentioned to you, that Get Ready, but there's also a standalone irs.gov website for ITINs, and you get that at irs.gov/ITIN, and there will be information on there about certified acceptance agents. I apologize, I didn't write out that acronym, CAA. Certified acceptance agents are individuals who have been completed certification with IRS that can assist individuals in verifying their documents and helping them complete the form. There's a complete listing there on irs.gov/ITIN. And then our individual IRS taxpayer assistance centers, which are located in many federal buildings in the largest cities around the country, will also assist individuals with W-7 completion. But as you see there on the screen, appointments are required. You can do that either at irs.gov, or I included a number there for individuals to do. It is a limited basis, the availability at these taxpayer assistance centers. So please have your clients that need help start that process as soon as possible. And last but not least, I wanted to just provide you a couple of additional IRS resources if you are one of those individuals that help your clients with tax issues or concerns. I just want to let you know, as the IRS puts a lot of our time and resources into our irs.gov website, there are a lot more activities that historically individuals had to either call the IRS or visit one of our assistance centers to get information, but now they are available online. So a great help to individuals and individuals like you that are trying to serve taxpayers. The first one there is called Get Transcript. Many of you might have used that before. Quite frankly, it was down for a number of months due to some security concerns, but it is back and available. It helps individuals access IRS transcripts that they might need for various things about their filing history, whether they're trying to apply for loans or fill out FAFSAs or other documents. They're very helpful. I do want to warn you there are stringent authentication processes on there that will require that the taxpayer has some data about their filing history, about some of the addresses they live at over the years, but well worth the additional process to get that information. Of course, I hope many of you are aware of Where's My Refund, a great way to check on the refund status for individuals instead of trying to call or look up information at a taxpayer assistance center. And then I wanted to recommend a new one to you, is finding out how much you owe. And that's a new website available for individuals who owe the IRS back taxes for different years. They can use this online capability to find out how much they owe and also to make payment options right there online. Again, a great time saver. And I just wanted to close with two other sites on irs.gov for those of you trying to assist individuals. As I mentioned, on irs.gov, there's information about taxpayer assistance centers, which all of our taxpayer assistance centers in this filing season are working by appointment only. So when you go to irs.gov, you'll see information on how to get an appointment. And last but not least, when you go to irs.gov, for those of you who are not as familiar with others, on our free services, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Service, VITA or TCE, you can go to irs.gov, look for the click on free tax return preparation for qualifying taxpayers. And that site there at irs.gov will give you a locator where you can type in your zip code, and it will tell you that the sites that are locally available. They will most be starting around January 23rd, some probably maybe till the end of January, but a great resource for those who haven't taken avail of it. So with that, Michael, I will turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Don. Thank you for this great information. And we're going to have time for Q&A at the end, as several questions have come in via email and through the chat. So other questions, please continue to put them in the chat box, and we will answer them. So now I'm excited to welcome Jenny Wong, who's an Outreach Associate at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. The National Disability Institute has had a long-time relationship with CBPP and working very closely with Jenny's colleague, Roxy Keynes, as well. So we're excited to have Jenny with us today and to be able to share some information on additional tools and resources that we can use in our outreach efforts. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jenny.
Hello, Michael, and thank you so much. So I know that the tax season is about to start, and it's probably very, very busy for many of you, especially folks who are involved in VITA. So I really appreciate all of you spending the time with us here today. So today I will be talking about how you can connect workers to the Earned Income Tax Credit. We'll be going through why it's important, steps you can take to reach out to workers, and the resources that the Get It Back campaign provides to help your work. So for those of you who may not know, the Get It Back campaign is a national effort to promote the Earned Income Tax Credit, Child Tax Credit, and free tax preparation services. We work with many community organizations, advocacy groups, and other orgs to connect workers with these tax credits and services. We provide outreach tools, trainings, and resources to help you in your work. You can visit our website, eitcoutreach.org, for more information and resources. And I just thought that picture was funny, so I included it. So first of all, why is it important to conduct outreach? So as I'm sure many of you know, even with a full-time job, once you consider bills, housing costs, food, child care, these costs can really add up, and it can be hard for low-wage workers to make ends meet. So luckily, the EITC was created to help bridge this gap. The tax credit can add up to over $6,000 to a worker's refund, which is an incredible amount of money. This money lifts 7 million families out of poverty each year, keeps kids healthy, improves school performance, and increases earnings in future generations. So it's absolutely vital that everyone who's eligible for this credit claims it. Unfortunately, it's estimated that about 1 in 5 eligible workers doesn't claim the tax credits they've earned. So in addition to promoting the EITC, we also promote free tax filing, which we believe is integral to claiming tax credits. So this first image, I think, really illustrates why free tax filing is important. It says, the good news is that you'll be getting a $500 refund. The bad news is that our tax preparation fee is $499. So taxes can be very tricky, especially if you've never learned much about how to file them. Many workers need help and turn to paid preparation services. Unfortunately, these services cost anywhere from $50 to $500, which really cuts into the refund that they would be receiving. And it's estimated that EITC recipients spend over $2 billion on tax preparation and refund products a year. That is a ton of money that could be going to clients who really need it. So who are the workers who are part of that 20% who are missing out? Well, people with disabilities may worry that these tax credits endanger their Medicaid eligibility. So fortunately, it does not, but they need to know that. So claiming these credits does not affect your eligibility with benefits like SNAP, SSI, Medicaid, cash assistance, or public housing. And even if you save the refund, it does not count against asset limits for 12 months. And you can learn more about this on the link provided below. So now that we've kind of talked about why it's so important, what are the steps you can take to promote these tax credits and free tax filing? Well, of course, these are all just ideas, and you can tailor your outreach to your organization's capacity and what works for your community. But here are 6 steps that we've identified that you can use. So the first step, and really the foundation of outreach, is just getting the word out. You can include information about tax credits in newsletters, pay envelopes, even utility bills. You can also display posters and flyers in break rooms, store windows, public areas, libraries, basically any location that workers are likely to see them. Even if this is the only outreach activity you take on, it has an important impact for your community and workers. So the next step, a very important step, would be to enlist partners. This is something you can do if you have a little more time to spend on your outreach. So partners are really the backbone of a vibrant and a successful outreach campaign. They bring important contacts, skills, and resources that you may not have alone. So some examples of outreach partners include community organizations, nonprofits, schools, local government, employers, and then organizations like Goodwill and United Way, among many others. And I've listed some partners that work directly with folks with disabilities. If there's no outreach work already underway, you can bring these organizations together to establish an outreach coalition. So first, organize a meeting to find out what these partners may be already doing to promoting the Earned Income Tax Credit. And then train potential partners about the EITC, the CTC, and why it's important to inform their employees, customers, clients, members, and others about these important tax benefits. Luckily, there are already many outreach coalitions that exist across the country. And if you're interested in learning more about the coalitions in your specific area, you can send me an email and I'll connect you with the closest coalition. And my email will be on the last slide of my presentation. Step 3 is to conduct outreach events. So find out where eligible folks are already gathering, like tenant meetings, PTA meetings, what have you, and use these places to distribute more information about tax credits and VITA. So step four is so important for folks with disabilities, is to make sure that the tax sites are accessible. So one amazing example of this work is the Goodwill Industries of Hawaii. Of their 1,500 VITA clients, over a quarter reported having a disability. Goodwill Hawaii conducts an annual accessibility survey for participants, staff, and stakeholders to both identify and address any obstacles to accessibility. From there, they provided a lot of new services. They created a shuttle program to bring clients to the site who couldn't access public transportation. They also rearranged their entire tax site so that all the services were available on the ground floor. They also partner with sign language interpreters to serve clients and recruit folks with disabilities to be greeters for the tax site. So even if you don't host a VITA site yourself, you can work with organizations that do to make sure that their tax sites are accessible. So step 5 is to use the media. So stories about clients who received the EITC, particularly stories about folks with disabilities, can be very compelling. Reach out to local media to get these stories published. And as a quick plug, some of you may want to collect EITC stories but don't know how. I'm working with CFED to create an EITC stories database, and we're creating a training and providing a bunch of resources to make story collecting easier for you. So if this project is something you're interested in, just shoot me an email after the webinar and I'll follow up with you. So finally, step 6 is to sustain efforts. So make sure that the work you do is institutionalized at your organization and doesn't end when you leave. So for example, maybe right now what you do is you shoot an email out to folks at your workplace to let them know about the EITC. Well, if it's institutionalized, then maybe as an organization you can include this tax credit information in an orientation for new employees. So something that happens year after year, even if you're not there. So of course, we have a lot of these resources available on our website, eitcoutreach.org. So a great place to start off is with our tax credit outreach kit. So this outreach kit includes information about the tax credits, the EITC, CTC, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, Premium Tax Credit, and it also has a lot of information on tax filing. So in the kit itself, you'll find different outreach strategies for different audiences and institutions that you'd want to partner with. So this kit is great because it's easy to print and you can thumb through it if that's something you like. We don't print out the kit anymore, but we do have older copies that we can mail you if you're interested in a hard copy, or you can print it out yourself. These outreach strategies are also available on our website, so you can go to the web page directly if that's what you prefer. So for each category, we include potential partners you can work with, a list of tips, and then additional resources. So next we have printable materials. Of course, anyone can and should use these materials, but I think that these materials are especially important for folks who want to get involved but can't dedicate a lot of time and effort to outreach. So if you don't have a lot of time, just keep it really basic and print out or use these materials. So we have posters, flyers, fact sheets, press releases, envelope stuffers, and graphics you can use. All of these resources have information on how folks can find out if they're eligible, and most of these resources are customizable, so you can include information about the tax sites in your specific area. If you are interested, we have a poster ordering form on our website, and we can mail out these posters in full color in a kind of larger size to wherever you work. So these are all great resources. We also have flyers that are translated into 23 languages other than English, and these flyers include information on how to access free tax filing as well as eligibility rules. We also recently created a wonderful little video. It's about 1.5 minutes and really briefly explains what the EITC is and why it's important. The video can be shared on Facebook, your website, or even shown in waiting rooms as people are waiting. You can also show it to potential partners to explain why outreach work is so important. So our Facebook page is a great little one-stop shop for all of these resources. So we don't like to inundate our partners with constant emails. So some of the updates that happen, you won't receive an email about, but we post all of these updates on our Facebook page. So we post blogs, we post images you can share, our videos, and updates to any projects that we are currently working on. And these are just 2 fun images we shared this past year, and we have a lot like this available on the Facebook page. Okay, and we also have a blog that we started about a year ago, I want to say. And so our blog, we have different kinds of blogs. We have blogs that you can share directly on your Facebook page to encourage folks to file for free. So we have the top 6 reasons to file your taxes for free on the bottom. We also have blogs with different outreach strategies from our partners. So, for example, we partnered with Prepare and Prosper in Minnesota and wrote about an awesome tax filing event that they threw about a year ago, close to EITC Awareness Day. And then we also create social media toolkits that you can use. So we have their Post This on Social Media, Part 1, and we included 7 images and tweets, 7 images basically that you can use to promote free tax filing and tax credit in free tax filing and tax credits. I can talk. And you can just use those and just copy and paste, so it's really, really easy. You don't have to think about it and just grab and go basically. And finally, we also provide webinars and trainings. Webinars and trainings are interesting for us because they allow us to go in depth into topics that we might not normally spend a lot of time on, or we, if we don't have other resources on it, we might put together a little webinar. And these webinars, we often feature different partners who may already be doing the work that we want to feature. So this past year, 2 webinars that were pretty popular were our VITA volunteer recruitment and retention training, and then our training on how to navigate FAFSA and the EITC. So if you want to have some FAFSA support at your tax site, for example. So this is just another funny little image, and obviously taxes can be tricky, so let's not let this happen. Let's make sure everyone gets their taxes filed for free if they are eligible for it. So thank you all for listening to me talk today. If you want to stay connected with me, here are the different, oh, sorry, I'm just seeing the slide got a little messed up in the middle, but that's totally fine. These are just different links to different web pages. You can go to eitcoutreach.org/partner if you want to work with us more closely. And then if you have any questions, you can email me personally at jhuang@cbpp.org or to our general EITC outreach website, which is listed above. Thank you so much for joining me, and yeah, I hope you'll get involved in our campaign.
Great. Thank you so much, Jenny, for sharing this information and these great resources and tools. Yeah, I'm not sure why the slide has come up like that, but we'll make sure to have that fixed. So again, thank you so much for sharing this information. So we've gotten quite a few questions that have come in, but I just want to share with you a quick best practice. our third presenter was unable to join us today with something that had come up, and I wanted to be sure to highlight some of their great work that they're doing. Jenny had mentioned Goodwill of Hawaii. They serve on our advisory committee and been longtime partners and absolutely doing wonderful work. This is another group that's also doing some great work, and this is the Cash Coalition of Greater Capital Region in Albany, New York. And the coalition serves an 8-county region with over 20 VITA sites, and approximately 10% of the taxpayers that they serve are taxpayers with disabilities. And they offer a variety of tax prep services for individuals with disabilities. One of the things that they also do is that they make sure that all tax sites have been evaluated for accessibility. And so they make sure that they all are 100% accessible to all taxpayers. The other piece that we have found through our work throughout the years is when coalitions and tax sites offer disability awareness training for their tax preparers. What we have found in the beginning of our work a lot is when volunteers would say, I'm too nervous to serve a person with a disability because I'm afraid I might offend them. And so we have some resources on our website for disability awareness training, and the Cash Coalition of Greater Capital Region also make sure that all of their tax preparers do receive disability awareness training. They also have taxpayers or interpreters available for taxpayers who are deaf and who request that services. Another key piece that they do is that they engage persons with disabilities to be tax preparers, but also to serve as volunteers at tax sites, greeters, and intake specialists. And they also have a disability initiative committee that provides outreach to the disability community that helps support the growth and development of tax sites. So I know that I did not do as great of a job about as Melinda Burns would have done if she was here with us today. But the work that they are doing in Albany, New York, and the surrounding area to increase tax preparation service, free tax preparation services for persons with disabilities is doing some great work. To learn more, feel free to reach out to me, and we can connect you with some other sites as well. Other thing to mention before we go into our Q&A portion is that please check out National Disability Institute's website. Going to realeconomicimpact.org, you click on our work. One of those tabs will say taxes, and it will take you to a toolkit that has disability awareness training for VITA volunteers or tax preparers, people first language, an accessibility checklist, and a variety of other tools as well. So please go to check out those resources as well. All right, so let's get into some questions here because we have several that have come through. And the first question is, Don, I'm going to direct this question to you. It says, what is the annual gross amount a person can make and not have to file? Don, are you still there? All right, I think we may have lost audio. Oh,
no, sorry, Michael, you
great.
got me back? All right, I'm sorry. I was saying that it's a complicated question based on multiple factors of what their filing status is. You know, generally, you know, it's around $10,000, but you would have to look individually at their, you know, their filing status to make that determination. More information on irs.gov on that question.
All right.
And Michael, one last thing I wanted to say on that. That's one of those questions that folks like myself and Jenny who have been working on EITC get a little question or leery about, because those are often individuals that maybe have a low income earnings in a given year, and they would be eligible for the earned income tax credit. But it is one of the most important part of filing the claiming the earned income tax credit is you must file a tax return. You must make an affirmative claim for it. So that's why I kind of put that question out of my mind, whether trying not to file. I would be looking at the reasons to file in terms of the earned income tax credit. So basically, if they're under the age of 64, I would be filing.
Okay, great. The next question is, if a person who is disabled does not work, can they file for the earned income credit? So Don, we'll direct this question to you as well.
Again, they most likely, again, and of course, tax situations are based on facts and circumstances, but the second most important part of, I said the first part was filing, the second part is that you have to have earned income. And so obviously if an individual is not working, they would not make that qualification. So again, great questions about the earned income credit. I like how people are thinking. Take a look at the great information that Jenny talked about that the center has on earned income tax credit to see where your client falls in that spectrum.
Yeah. Just a quick point also, if you go on eitcoutreach.org/help, you can quickly enter in your income and see if you're eligible there too. So if anyone has questions about whether they're eligible, that's an easy way to figure it out.
Great, thank you. The next question is, I have a couple of clients with tax questions in regards to their SSDI, SSI benefits. They live in rural areas, so where can I tell them to call? I'm actually going to take this question, if that's okay, Don and Jenny. I would encourage you to go to the website, direct them to the website choosework.net. At the top of that website, it is Social Security website. You'll find a link that says Find Help. And they can then select WIPA, the Work Incentive Planning Assistance Program, and put in their zip code, and it will direct them to a benefits or community work incentive coordinator or benefits specialist in their area. The other thing that you could do is you could send a question to ask@ndi-inc.org, and we could, that comes to the National Disability Institute, and we can also direct you to some additional resources to get those questions answered. All right. So the next question is, Jenny, this question is for you. Are the printable materials accessible with screen readers, and are the videos that you talked about closed captioned accessible to persons who are deaf and or are hard of hearing?
I'm not sure about the screen readers one, but I will, if you can send me the email of the person who asked that question, I can get back to them. The video that I talked about does have captions on that go on the bottom of the screen, so yes.
Okay, great. So another question that came in, Don, we'll direct this one to you. Was it mentioned that there is a maximum age where individuals do not have to file a tax return?
No, it wasn't mentioned, and no, there is not a specific age. Filing requirement is based on income. So unfortunately, our oldest Americans among us, if they have earned or have income, taxable income, I should say, will have to file. So no, there is not a age limitation.
Okay, great. So regarding the PATH Act, the question is, will it delay refunds if I file on March 1?
That's a great question. The anticipation is no, that we will get through the beginning parts of the filing season and then hopefully get the backlog of refunds waiting filed, and then we will get into more, if you will, a normal refund distribution pattern. But it is recommended that people anticipate even a little bit longer than normal receipt of refunds throughout the whole filing season this year, just because of the unknown impact of the beginning delay that has been, required by Congress.
Okay, great. So Don, this is another question for you. This is a good one. Does IRS still offer paper checks for refunds?
Yes, we do. So, the offset of that is it does take longer to receive those. Those you're probably talking more of a 2 to 4 week refund window at a minimum, and that's not in counting the refund delay of February 15th. Obviously we can get refunds out quicker that are directly deposited, and of course the secondary part, I think probably more importantly, direct deposits are so much more secure in today's day and age. But yes, there is still a capability of getting a paper refund check.
All right, great. So we have 3 minutes left here, and so I want to get in 2 more questions here. So Don, this question also is for you. So are people who have the I-10s expiring going to be individually notified?
Very good question. Those who had the numbers 78 and 79, as I mentioned, the second bucket, did receive a notification in the mail. It was in late fall of 16, so they did. But the ones that have not filed in 3 years, they would not have received the same type of correspondence. So, what we're suggesting is that you would ask taxpayers that utilize I-10s to meet their filing requirements. Ask them, one of the first questions you ask them, have you filed in the last 3 years, so that you can get to, quickly triaging whether they might be required to file for renewal of that I-10.
Great. All right, perfect. Great. So we have some additional questions here, and so we will definitely share these with the presenters, and we have the contact of who sent them, and we'll be able to get them out. But we will try to respond to as many of them as we can. As we wrap up here on our presentation today for tax time updates, I would like to thank Don Dill with the Internal Revenue Service, as well as Jenny Wong with the Center for Budget and Policy Priorities for presenting and sharing this information today. We also want to remind you that to please sign up and join the movement and take the pledge to disable poverty. Disable Poverty is a grassroots campaign which aims to increase awareness about the nearly 1 in 3 Americans with disabilities that live in poverty and remain outside the economic mainstream. Please go to disablepoverty.org and take the pledge. If you're not a part of the Real Economic Impact Network, please join the movement, and you can sign up on our website. If you have any questions, you can send those questions to ask@ndi-inc.org. I also want to remind you that for our February 8th webinar, we will be talking about guiding individuals towards a savings behavior. We will be talking about our partnership or collaboration with the America Saves campaign, as well as talk about the ABLE National Resource Center and a variety of tools to help move individuals towards a savings behavior. And this definitely is that time as individuals are getting their tax refund. So we hope that you will join us for that webinar as well. Again, I would like to thank our presenters, Don Dill and Ginny Wong, for sharing this information with us today. We will make sure that everybody gets the copy of the PowerPoint and get it sent out to you, so you have all of the resources and links as well. Finally, I'd like to thank my colleagues, Nakia Matthew, for providing the technology side of this, as well as thank National Disability Institute's Training and Technical Assistance team who helped put all of this together. So with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful new year, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. Have a great day.